Hello, and welcome to the Earth Trust podcast. I'm Verity Warne, Head of Communications at Earth Trust. For over 40 years, Earth Trust has played a significant role in Oxfordshire, working to nurture and improve the green spaces in our care and to offer opportunities for others to experience them. But the world is in crisis. Biodiversity loss, climate change, poor health and well-being are all impacting the world we live in. National challenges like these need local solutions, and what we do here in Oxfordshire can inspire so many others. And that's why Earth Trust is launching a new membership scheme to connect more people to our purpose of addressing these challenges with the power of natural green spaces. This week I spoke to Jayne Manley, CEO of Earth Trust, to find out more about what the membership scheme means for Earth Trust's work.
Nobody has the answer to the challenges we're facing, and therefore we need to come together and we need to be sharing more and supporting each other more as we really do work towards what the future needs to be, not only for ourselves but also for our children and our grandchildren. Hello, I'm Jayne Manley. I'm Chief Executive of the Earth Trust. And I have worked for the Earth Trust. I've been CEO for the Earth Trust for almost 12 years now. I am incredibly proud of the journey that the Earth Trust has been on, and very passionate about people accessing the natural world. So the core reason why we're launching this new membership scheme is that the actions that we've been taking as a society to address nature and nature recovery haven't been working. It hasn't been working fast enough. And one of the things that we learned during COVID was that people need access to the natural world. They need access to the natural world for their own health and well-being, but also to understand what actions they need to take individually and collectively to care for the natural world, and also address the huge challenges that we face around climate change, so carbon, as well as biodiversity, the biodiversity crisis. And as a trust, we have been on this journey, and we recognise that we can be a catalyst to people coming together and making change happen. And so our strategy has changed. Our strategy has evolved over the last couple of years, and now at the heart of it is building communities for change. And part of that is introducing a membership scheme that's going to support those members, those families, those individuals on their journey and their connectivity with the environment, but also is going to support the Earth Trust and give the Earth Trust vital resource to enable us to have a louder, more influential voice for people to access the natural world.
So what does it mean for Earth Trust to have members behind it? How will it change the way we can do our work?
It enables us to have a conversation. It gives us a group of people that we can explore the challenges with and explore what the solutions are going to be. It enables us to really get under the skin of what the challenges are for that individuals face, and how they respond to the challenges around them, and therefore helping us really work towards what this might look like for society in future. I did touch upon the funding element. It is really important. I know it's not the primary motivator, but it is really important that the core resource that enables us to have more influence as a small charity is there. Because there's nothing worse than saying we've got a strategy and building huge expectations around what we can do, and then not being able to deliver on those things because we do not have the core resource. So as well as this community of influence, there's also going to be this community of support that will enable us to, as I said, to be more influential, to have a louder voice. And that core resource is so fundamental, particularly at this time of economic challenge.
what will people's membership help us to achieve? So are there some specific things that we will be doing more of, some projects or activities that membership would unlock?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about the fact that the membership scheme, the resources are unrestricted, so they're not for a particular project. But the real positive part of this is that it enables the trust to explore new possibilities without us having to spend a couple of years trying to get a grant, trust or foundation to support that new idea. And that catalyst of thought and thought leadership is incredibly powerful and very, very much needed at this moment in time. So some of the interesting things we're working on at the moment is how landscape scale land management needs to change over time. So we're working hard at rethinking the Whitnam clumps and the surrounding farmland, and thinking about what we need to grow, how we need to grow it, balancing the need of food production with access to nature, with biodiversity, and really thinking differently about how we manage the soil and how we turn the concept around regenerative agriculture, how we make that concept of regenerative agriculture really mean something across a landscape scale. Mm-hmm. So at that scale, we have one farm, one landscape that we get many benefits from, as I said, including, so this isn't just about the arable, it isn't just about the working farm, it's about the forestry, it's about the wetlands and how all those habitats and species work together and how we restore ecosystems at landscape scale. So you can imagine, that's one mega piece of work that needs to be thought through in order to develop the plans that are going to really make this demonstration at this scale really influential at a regional and national scale. Then at the other some of the other aspects that we're working on at the moment include looking at how we build nature into people's lives. So there are various strands of this. We're working with different communities who do not currently access the natural world and working with them to understand what are the motivations for them accessing the natural world and what things do we need, how do we facilitate that conversation, how do we facilitate that activity. We are also looking at what are the principles behind which local authorities or developers are trying to build, they have the ambition of trying to build nature into those developments or even retrofitting them into current communities. What are the key principles that we would like to see followed and considered as they build their master plans for development, for instance? What else are we doing? We're thinking about volunteering and how we can make volunteering more accessible for different communities and how we can expand our current volunteering activity. So what do people who currently do not access our current volunteering profile of activities and events, why are they not? What are the barriers to them engaging with those activities? And what do we need to be putting in place in order that more people access and are able to give their time and therefore their energy in supporting the natural world?
So we talk a lot about, there's a lot in the media and mainstream about some of those climate challenges, biodiversity challenges, at a big scale. How are those impacting people in Oxfordshire? Is it an Oxfordshire problem? And if people are trying to think about where they can best place their support, why do you feel that placing support with an organisation like Earth Trust is so valuable?
So I think the first thing to recognise is that this isn't just an Oxfordshire problem. Yeah. This is a global problem because the challenges we face are planetary. Why is it important to think about Oxfordshire and support Oxfordshire? In other parts of the world, in other parts of the UK, the impact of climate change and on biodiversity loss is hugely visible. So if you, and communities are suffering because of sea level rise, for instance, it is palpable that the impacts. But of course that's not the case in Oxfordshire, and that makes the challenges really hard. But that doesn't mean that they're not happening. There was a term that was developed it's developed over the last 10 years or so, which is called death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
So when the impacts are small, but when those impacts layer on and layer on and layer on, you ultimately end up in the habitat or the species declining to the point of extinction. But because those impacts are smaller and they're over a longer period of time, you don't actually see them, and you don't see that impact until the point at which you are no longer seeing that species. So what we're about as an organisation is we've got huge assets. Our assets are around our people, but also around our land. So how we use our land and what we demonstrate on our land, and how we explore how communities can access the natural world and what motivates them to do that. We are living it. We're living all the challenges on the ground, and that makes us incredibly powerful when we're trying to influence policy and practice. Of course, we are only small as an organisation, and that's a frustration, because if we were bigger, then it might be easier to influence and to have a louder voice. But we're on that journey. We don't believe we need to get big in order to do that. We think we need to be using our assets better and using our networks better and engaging in different networks in order to have that voice. But it's this relationship between what it takes on the ground to do something, and that something is not what we've been doing for the last 10 years. It's what we need to do for the future. So what do we need to do now, and how can we demonstrate that those real life challenges, working through those real life solutions? And it might be around how we manage the land, but as I said, it might be around what are the barriers to engagement.
What do you want that experience to feel like of being an Earth Trust member?
So I want that experience to be a community experience. I want the people who join our community to benefit from the relationship with the organisation, the relationship with the Earth Trust, but also be part of something that's bigger. So it will magnify their own individual actions, but it will also be a space where people can ask questions that they may not want to ask. They might feel that those questions are not ones that they want to voice in public. And we need to create a space where individuals are asking those questions, because they might be questions that nobody else has asked before, and they might be really pivotal in our success, not only as an organisation, but our success in terms of really achieving these targets. And these targets for nature, they're not very far away. We're talking about 2030 that we really need to be motoring towards making real change happen in terms of nature.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And we're all about hope, aren't we, at Earth Trust, and optimism, and knowing that we can, if we work together, find some solutions.
Yes, we're definitely not doom and gloom. Doom and gloom got put to one side. No, we're definitely about hope. We're definitely about solutions. And we have a belief that there are solutions. And if we think about and we enact more natural solutions, so more nature-based solutions, then where people are embedded in the decision-making, then we will succeed.
Thank you so much, Jayne. Thanks for taking the time. I can hear some pinging of emails going off as I know you're super busy. So thanks for spending the time today to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
I'm Verity Warren, and you've been listening to the Earth Trust podcast. If you'd like to find out more about how to join Earth Trust and become a member, visit our website at www.earthtrust.org.uk.